Hey guys, Joe here with Dave from AT Kearney. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
So Dave was one of the speakers yesterday at our CBD and hemp panel discussion. And what we're going to talk about today is a little overview of where we're at with CBD and hemp in the retail market and how it's evolving, where it's going to go. So what I'd like to start off with is, tell us a little bit for people who may not be familiar with AT Kearney. What are you guys doing? Who are you, and what do you do in the hemp and CBD space?
So AT Kearney is a global management consulting firm. We work with large companies around the world in a variety of industries, from automotive to healthcare to high tech. But we have a very large practice around retail and consumer products. So dealing with retailers from apparel retailers to grocery to drug, and dealing with manufacturers everywhere from agriculture through food through cosmetics. Where we are with the whole area of CBD and the use of hemp-based CBD, et cetera, around the world is we're seeing it as a new product line. Not a new product line, but almost a new industry. The amount of interest, and particularly as you start to look at the breakdown of the wellness category and CBD use with the cannabinoids, terpenes, and flavonoids, and how we're starting to see initially anecdotal, but we're seeing more evidence about the wellness capabilities. So we, as advisors to large retailers, as advisors to large CPG firms, are working with our clients to help them navigate through this bit of tumultuous role that CBD is playing within the industry right now.
Good. It's interesting you mentioned the anecdotal information, because same thing that I'm seeing is, I have a dozen friends that swear by it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't say, I can't find studies, but so many people are using it and they're getting benefits from it in one way or another, whether it's pain or calming for their pets, you name it. And so there is something there. It's obvious.
Yeah, I think we all know someone that's benefited from it, whether it's a medical condition of irritable bowel syndrome, whether it's a skin condition like psoriasis, whether it's a more severe thing like having epilepsy, etc. So there are benefits around there. Obviously, because it's a product that's been under prohibition, it's a Schedule I narcotic under the Controlled Substance Act for the last 60, 70 years, we're going to be a bit apprehensive and skeptical about its benefits. So that's where the industry is sitting right now. One side is looking at it saying, wow, this really works, this is great. The other side is saying, just a second now, this is something that we have been restricting for a long time.
Great, and we do address both sides of that market. We do have some of the retailers who attend, or some of the smaller natural, but not as many. We're mostly the mass retailers.
Yeah.
So, and there's a difference in the way CBD is, they're approaching it. So can you talk a little bit about the current state and where it is with the dispensaries and the, dispensaries and the natural markets?
Well, I think, CBD, we realize that as cannabis, which CBD, cannabis has either the marijuana, which is the psychoactive component, or hemp, which is the one that has the less than 0.3% THC, or the psychoactive ingredient, which is more about CBD is where it comes from. The problem has been is up until December 20th of last year, it was a Class 1, Schedule I narcotic. Under the Farm Bill of 2018, CBD and hemp growing were made legal across all 20 states, was descheduled. In other words, it's no longer seen as under the Controlled Substance Act as a narcotic, and so it can be grown in 50 states, it can be distributed in 50 states, and CBD is extracted from the hemp plant. Now, the problem is that that was under USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, Farm Act 2018. There's been no opinion by the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, which says, can we put CBD in food? Can we put CBD in cosmetics? Can we put CBD in cream? And they came out shortly after the Farm Bill in December to say, hey, we haven't ruled on it yet. Still, as far as we're concerned, it is a Schedule I controlled substance, and we have not opined on this to be generally accepted as safe, etc. Not saying that it's illegal in that sense, but they're just saying we have not ruled on it. As far as we're concerned, it's still restricted.
And that is what's causing the gray area. The gray area you talked about, that is what has everybody like Dave from Pharmaca said yesterday, racing to the starting line. but not crossing it.
Everybody's ready.
Yes.
Everybody's looking at it. Everybody sees the potential. You see the numbers coming out of the analysts of a 150, $200 billion business with cannabis and hemp together. You're seeing the products in Europe with hemp-based drinks and hemp-based lotions and stuff. You're seeing the stuff coming in from Israel. So there's a lot of hype, a lot of interest in this, and couple that with the anecdotal information, couple that with every country in the world's looking at it, and people are saying, this is something I got to be in.
Yep.
That's causing some of this discontinuity. I liken it to, it's like riding a roller coaster, except half the tracks aren't there. Yeah. And we're dealing with this ups and downs of the industry, the hype wave as well as the pullback, yet the regulatory systems are not in place yet.
Mm-hmm. And what I've been seeing that's interesting here at our hemp and CBD session is that I've been doing some meetings with larger retailers. We're talking chains with hundreds of stores, and some of the suppliers that we're speaking with, they're in hundreds of stores, but small mom and pops.
Yep.
So they're in retail. However, now they're dealing with a whole nother animal when you're dealing with mass retail, big corporations. What is the state of CBD and hemp in the natural retail space, and what are the adjustments they're going to have to make?
Well, again, for a natural food store or a natural health store or a wellness store, it's a perfect complement to their category, to the SKUs and the assortment they have. For a large retailer, the question they have to ask is there any first mover advantage? Is there an advantage to be the first one out there as a large retailer? And practically most of them are saying, not really, not yet. Yeah. Because we've still got a lot of although there's a lot of consumer acceptance, there's a lot of consumer education needed. Mm-hmm. People don't know what CBD does or doesn't know. I don't know what it does for you, different than what it does for me. Mm-hmm. And so large retailers are probably ready. They've talked to everybody. They've talked to all the suppliers. They have a merchandising planogram ready, but they're not going to go until they get better indication from the Food and Drug Administration and some of the regulators on what is this thing. Is it going to be a supplement? Mm-hmm. Is it going to be generally accepted safe for foods? Or is it going to be a medicine? Is it going to be treated as a molecule and be more under much greater restrictions? So I think until those things become clear, the large retailers, they'll put product out there. And you're seeing already in some of the large retailers a hemp-based lotion here or hemp-based
topical seems to be where they feel comfortable right now.
So you're seeing that, but they're individual SKUs, they're individual products. Nobody's doing a category map. Nobody's doing an 8-foot section.
Maybe a shipper in and out.
A shipper in or out, but you're not seeing a wellness section with come and get my CBD.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to wait until we get better clarity from the regulators. Mm-hmm. But I think you're going to see a lot of large retailers experiment with a product here, a product there, most likely being labeled under a hemp rather than a CBD, just in order to keep under the radar from the regulators.
Gotcha. I've heard the term fast follower or bandied about by a lot of them.
Absolutely. Again, particularly if a retailer wants to have the aura and the marketing image of a wellness retailer, that we're all about health and wellness and well-being, they're going to have CBD at some point. The question is it worth going fast now to do it and then maybe getting slapped on the wrist by a regulator, or just waiting, having a complement of other products as well, and then as it comes in, it becomes much more accepted in the marketplace, bringing in it and a full advertising, bringing in their own brands, etc. I would look to Canada right now. Look at what Shoppers Drug Mart is doing. They actually have a cannabis dispensary license, so because cannabis is fully legal in Canada, and you're going to see them with products, I'm sure, that have a wellness component to it, that are more CBD based, as well as the more medicinal side of things as well, for things like epilepsy and Crohn's disease, etc.
Is cannabis merchandised in the produce aisle?
Is cannabis measured? Again, cannabis is dried, and then so the cannabis leaf is dried. So I don't know if that would be there. And then the oil, maybe with olive oil.
So that's one thing that I talked with Dave from Pharmaca about, was the merchandising aspects, and they're probably going to lean towards. They put everything together. Although it's managed by different category managers.
Right.
And a lot similar to. I see what happened in organics. Where some retailers may do them separately throughout the store. Some have an organic section, and there's benefits and challenges to both. So.
Well, I think if you go after a wellness section, so which will have vitamins and it may have certain types of supplements and things like that, you may have a specific section around CBD, and there you would have your lotions and salves and your bath bombs, and you have tinctures, and you may even have some CBD waters and things like that. So there's a variety of products. I would recommend to any of the people watching that if you want to see some of the very interesting innovations coming out, go to California, go to Nevada, go to the licensed dispensaries there and just see the product. I mean, go to Las Vegas and go to Planet 13, which is the largest dispensary in the world. Okay. Largest dispensary in the world, and they have everything from bath bombs, gummy bears, chocolates, near beers, basically a beer that's non-alcoholic with THC and CBD in it. They've got every type of ingredient and lotion and over-the-counter product you can think of.
So would following what's happening at the cannabis dispensaries be a good idea for retailers to get a sense of what people are buying now?
I think it will, because remember that CBD comes from hemp, but a CBD also comes from cannabis.
Yeah.
Now the CBD from hemp is legal under the Agricultural Act. In the 10 states where cannabis is legal, adult use, recreational, CBD from cannabis is legal as well. So you'll see in Nevada and California and Washington, Oregon, etc., you'll see in some of the dispensaries that they'll have CBD-based products from cannabis that are selling quite well. And they will give you an indication of the type of product that either does well. So I would go talk to, by the way, the people that are in the dispensaries are called bud tenders.
Bud tenders.
Go talk to the bud tender and ask them what is selling, what is working, what are people asking for. It'll give you a good indication of what things are working for them.
Great. And last topic, your recommendations for retailers, the mass retailers specifically, what should they be doing now?
Well, I think for the mass retailer, as I said, do as much research as you can. So understand what are the products, get the vendors in to show their products, etc. Start thinking about how you're going to display this in your store. What section, is it the wellness section? Are you going to split it up? How are you going to merchandise it? Get everything ready, and then maybe try one or two products discreetly in the store just to see where they are. But then, you're not going to go full bore until you have a better indication from the regulatory agencies, from the FDA, as to how this is going to be treated. And at that point, go full force. The other side is start talking to your pharmacists if you have a pharmacy within your stores, because, the pharmacists are going to have an opinion as well. And, they, as consumers come in and are looking for something and they've read the health benefits of CBD, they're going to go to the pharmacist and ask them a question. Yeah. And the pharmacist can either say, I don't know, or they can say, we really don't have the evidence, or go to this website. At least engage with the customer. So you don't want to put the customer off saying, stuff doesn't work, come to the pharmacy. But at the same time, there's only certain things they can say because, again, we don't have the evidence-based material. All we have is anecdotal.
And retailers are going to eventually, once they do get into it, they're going to have some sort of expertise on the staff beyond just the pharmacist to engage with the consumers who have questions.
I think so, although, again, looking at what's happening in the cannabis world, where the bud tender is giving engage, we're finding that where people have more technical or more depth in, we're actually getting into telepresence. So they'll have a pharmacist, a doctor, a nutritionist, a person that understands the cannabinoids and the chemical pond on a web interface in the store. So you'll have a large high definition screen, and you just talk to them right there. And so the person in the store can help you with the product, but if you want to go more detailed, learn more about your particular needs, learn about interactions, etc., there's someone that's a real expert available to multiple stores. And so I think using technology that way, because there's no way you're going to find enough people with enough knowledge initially. I mean, maybe 10 years from now or 5 years from now, but in the next 2 to 3 years, there's a very small handful of people that understand anything about this product.
So you just put out a report.
Yes.
And what I'll do is I'm going to have a link for everybody in the post so that they can access that report. But you want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, so we put together 2 reports. One is about the next gold rush, which is about cannabis and CBD with hemp used in consumer products. So we look at how it's going to be used in cosmetics, body care, in food products, and particularly around alcoholic beverages, because cannabis, the THC, CBD, is a replacement for alcohol, and that has got everyone in the spirits, wines, and beer industry very interested, because alcohol has certain aspects of negativity around your liver, around hangovers, where cannabis does not. So so the report talks about that and gives sort of general things that large companies need to think about as they're entering into this world. The second report is actually a survey of 2,000 consumers we did in October in 2018, which looked at their propensity to buy products that have infused CBD or other things in them. And we actually found that most consumers are very receptive to it. In fact, they're reading about the wellness and health effects, and they're curious, but they want to learn more. So that's where we're finding the different products. Different products, for example, cosmetics, really high. Over-the-counter beverages, much lower. So people are looking at, CBD face masks that reduce swelling or reduce skin blotches. Those things need to be really high on the list.
Okay, great. All right, well, we'll have Dave's information on the post so that you can check it out and reach out to them if you need to. And thank you very much for joining us.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
All right.